Imagine a world where the Roman Empire never fell. Its armies stayed strong, and its leaders learned to welcome new people and new ideas. This story follows one family, the Claudii, over many centuries. It begins in AD 450 with a girl named Aurelia Claudia in the city of Ravenna. Aurelia lives in a house covered with colorful mosaics that shine in the sun. Every morning she visits the public bathhouse with friends. She listens to her father, Marcus Claudius, speak of peace and unity. From a young age, Aurelia believes Rome can last forever if everyone feels they belong. Each year on Saturnalia, Aurelia's family lights lamps in their home and shares sweet dates and nuts with neighbors. They wear paper crowns, sing songs in Latin and Gothic, and give small wooden gifts. These festivals weave people together across Rome's lands. In 475 AD, Rome made peace with the Goths instead of fighting them. The Goths became Roman soldiers, farmers, and neighbors. Aurelia's father helped give them land and homes so they felt at home. By 500 AD, people from Rome, Syria, and Gothic lands all followed the same laws. The new law book was called the Corpus Juris Continuatus. It mixed old Roman rules with local customs to keep everyone fair. Roads and bridges were fixed so traders could move silk, spices, and papyrus from the east to Gaul. Water wheels and windmills ground grain faster than ever. Every town held weekly markets where people sold olives, cheese, and bright cloth. At school, Aurelia learned Latin, Gothic, and Greek. She played ball games in the courtyard and wrote simple poems about olive trees. Her friend Leofric wrote in runes and Latin, and they taught each other new letters. Towns elected local leaders who met in stone halls. They decided where to build new wells and how to share taxes. When floods rose on the Danube, these councils sent teams to fix dikes. Many families owned small farmhouses. They grew grapes and made wine in clay jars. Bakers used wood-fired ovens shaped like old Roman temples. Merchants carried pottery, glass lamps, and cloth dyed in bright colors to every village. In winter, people gathered around long tables. They ate roast lamb, boiled turnips, and honey cakes. By the fire, elders told stories of Romulus and Remus, of emperors who rode white horses, and of heroes who crossed the sea. In 870 AD, Emperor Theodoric II opened a great school in Constantinople. Marble columns rose in a wide courtyard where scholars from Baghdad, Cordoba, and faraway lands walked and talked. They studied stars with simple telescopes made of bronze. In 900 AD, a thinker named Hypatia II built an astrolabe to guide ships at sea. Sailors used it by night, pointing metal arms at stars to find their way home. It helped Rome grow rich with trade from every coast. Carthage rose again as a city of art and learning, its library filled with scrolls of history, poems, and maps. Students from Gaul and Britain came to copy books by candlelight. They learned about geography, medicine, and art. Small provinces like Venice, Genoa, and Pisa ran ships under Rome's orders. They carried spices, cloth, and glass across the Mediterranean Sea. Cathedrals mixed Roman columns with pointed Gothic windows, shining with colored glass. Every evening, people lit candles inside and sang hymns in many tongues. By 1100 AD, artists carved life-sized statues of senators and farmers. They painted bright frescoes on walls, showing sheaves of wheat and ships at sea. By 1204 AD, universities sprang up from old forts and fields. In Salerno, teachers wrote the first guide on surgery with clear drawings of tools. In Milan and Toledo, law students learned how to settle disputes over land or sheep. Dorms filled with students from every province. They played dice and drank spiced wine to stay warm. Life in the cities mixed old Roman customs with new ideas. Street vendors sold honeyed fruit and fried fish. Children chased rabbits in city gardens planted with rowan and olive trees. In AD 1421, Roman ships braved storms and restless seas to find new lands. They landed in what is now Virginia and built Colonia Nova Roma on a sheltered bay. Settlers laid out streets in straight lines and built small bathhouses. They paid taxes by hauling timber, digging wells, and teaching native children to write with chalk. Roman engineers built aqueducts that carried clean water from nearby hills. Roman governors set rules for slaves that were gentler than anywhere else. After 10 years of service, slaves could earn citizenship and own land. In AD 1550, Emperor Marcus Aurelius II ended most slave trading long before other nations did the same. In AD 1475, Rome signed a treaty with Ming China to share ideas about gunpowder and fireworks. By AD 1500, Chinese fire lances stood beside Roman spears in drills. Powders lit up practice fields like summer lightning. The empire's coins, called solidus novus, became the main money in every port. Merchants counted them into wooden chests and used them to build new ships. In New Spain, the Claudi family grew maize, cocoa, and cotton on terraced hills. They built stone silos and shared farming secrets with nearby tribes. Schools taught Nahuatl and Latin side by side. In AD 1607, Roman engineers and Inca builders began a grand aqueduct across the Andes. They carved channels through rock and laid mosaic tiles in arches. Water tumbled down to desert towns, turning them green. African kingdoms sent gold, ivory, and metal workers to Rome. They traded these for Roman architects and painters. Kings from Mali and Songhai visited the Senate in Rome and Carthage. Each brought gifts of silk and fine wood. Settlers and native farmers met at markets to trade beans for cheese, peppers for cloth, and tales for songs. They cooked stews with maize, fish, and spices from all corners of the empire. As ships sailed back to Europe, they brought new foods, tomatoes, potatoes, and chilies that changed diets forever. Chefs in Rome learned to make bread with cornmeal and stews with peppers. In AD 1723, Sextus Claudius built a steam water mill on the Danube River. The wheel turned by boiling water, not wind or stream. It ground grain in half the time. Bakers made more bread for growing towns and cities. In AD 1776, the Britannic provinces sent a friendly petition to Rome asking for local councils. The Senate agreed and wrote the Charter of Federal Rights. Each province could vote on some laws while staying in the empire. Towns held peaceful parades carrying scrolls of the charter. After AD 1800, factories and railroads spread like vines across the land. The first steam locomotive chugged between Milan and Venice, carrying families and letters. Smoke curled into the sky and whistles blew at every station. In AD 1832, Rome passed the Lex Juvenalis to protect child workers. Children went to school and learned reading and counting. They used wooden slates and chalk under the glow of oil lamps. In AD 1848, Sicilian farmers and fishermen asked for lower taxes. Senators arrived in Palermo and held open meetings in the town square under flowering orange trees. The Senate lowered the taxes, and Sicily stayed calm. By AD 1865, slavery had ended in every province. African and Afro-Roman citizens took seats in the Senate and spoke about schools, roads, and healthcare. Their voices helped build new hospitals and libraries in distant towns. In AD 1871, Rome and France settled a border dispute in just 6 months. Senators shook hands in the forum, and the people cheered. Students from both lands watched debates from wooden balconies above. Cities glowed with gas lamps and hummed with horse trams. Almanacs taught new crops, potatoes, tomatoes, and maize. Early microscopes showed doctors how tiny germs made people sick. Towns built sewers to carry waste away. In Alexandria's workshops, scientists mixed coal dust and sand to make new glass for telescopes. These giant lenses let scholars study the planets and distant stars. In AD 1914, rumors of a great war spread like wildfire, but a peace coliseum opened in Nicomedia held the world at bay. Kings, presidents, and senators met under its high arches. They spoke for days until every threat was settled by words. In AD 1929, a bank crash in Carthage shook people's savings. The Senate passed the Lex Stabilitas to protect small savers. Farmers kept their lands, and shopkeepers kept their stalls. The empire used coins and credit wisely to help everyone. World War II never happened here. In AD 1941, Rome and China faced off in the South China Sea. Their admirals sent messages by radio and met under a white flag at a small island. They signed a treaty that kept peace on the waves. In AD 1954, the first Roman nuclear power plant began lighting up homes and factories. Electric trams ran silently along ancient roads. Families switched on lamps and read by new bright lights. In AD 1969, a joint Roman-Chinese crew landed on the moon. They planted a golden eagle flag and left a plaque that said, "For peace and friendship among all people." Children back home built model rockets and dreamed of stars. In the 1980s, Lucia Claudius created the Imperial Grid, an early internet that linked schools, libraries, and homes. A child in Ravenna could read a scroll in London in seconds. Families sent drawings and letters across oceans. In AD 2001, Rome passed strong data privacy laws. Citizens knew their letters, bank records, and health files were safe. Judges appointed by lottery made sure no one peeked without permission. Today, the empire works to fight climate change. Floating houses drift on the Aquitanian Gulf. Egyptian farmers plant drought-proof wheat in dusty fields. Solar panels glitter atop old aqueducts like rows of glass tiles. Electric chariots hum along roads once walked by legionaries. Drones deliver fresh bread to mountain villages. In 2025, Emperor Gaius Claudius XVI sits in a glass Senate chamber with AI advisors. Holograms of senators speak in the forum, and citizens watch on crystal screens at home. On warm summer nights, families stroll under lit aqueducts. They laugh as children chase glowing fireflies. Musicians mix ancient lyre tunes with electronic beats. The city hums with life old and new. The Roman Empire that never fell shows how people can work together across lands and centuries. They mixed old and new ideas and learned from each other. Aurelius Claudius, named for his ancestor, walks with his daughter, Junia, past the glowing arches of the aqueduct. He points to a floating archive of crystal walls. Stories of past heroes shine in moving pictures. Junia asks if she will ever help shape the empire. He lifts her onto his shoulders and smiles. "Every choice we make writes the next chapter," he says softly. They reach the VR amphitheater beside the old Palatine Hill. Tonight, young poets will recite stories in many tongues. Aurelius and Junia settle into cushioned seats to listen. Above them, stars glimmer over marble columns. The empire stands not by force, but by friendship, learning, and shared dreams. And so the story of Rome goes on, written by each hand in every age.